Welcome to MDM On Demand. My name is John Lira, and in this demo, I just want to show you how to navigate the Hub Console GUI, show you a few of the touch points as we proceed in learning how to enter the console, how to navigate, and how to move around in preparation for doing our labs. If you look at the screen, you'll see that on the left-hand side, we have what are called workbenches. I can minimize that and click on it to expand that. What is a workbench? Well, we have several workbenches: configuration, model, security, access manager, data steward, and utilities. We're going to be using almost all of these workbenches in this course, and essentially it is separated by sort of processes that need to be done. For example, under configuration, we'll have users, model, our schema, our data model, etc. So we'll come back to that in a moment. At the bottom, notice that it says Welcome to the Informatica MDM Hub Console, and to the right, you'll see that there is a database icon, and it says TRN_lab and training. The TRN lab is the ORS that we have logged into. Training is the username that we are using. So if you wanted to log in as a different user or re-log in, or to switch the ORS, you can do so. For example, if I stay logged in as training and select TRN lab, notice that I get a listing of the ORSs that I have access to. I'm going to continue using TRN lab for right now, so I stay connected to it, and I'll click training. If I wanted to log in as somebody else, a different user, here's my chance of entering the username and password without having to exit the Hub Console and coming back in from scratch. So pretty useful tools right there, just to be able to switch ORSs as well as users. Now, of course, you can only access the ORSs or the components that the system administrator has set up for us based on our users and our roles and our permissions. Now, I'll stay logged in as training in the TRN lab. In a moment, you're also going to see that I'm going to switch that. Now, you see the workbenches configuration. Most of the time, as a hub configurator, the items under configuration, like the database, the users, the security providers, a lot of these items here have already been configured by the administrator. So we have the workbench, and then we have the tools. So most of the time as a configurator, I will come here, but not to do a lot of setup. Where I will spend a lot of my time is in the model workbench, using the various tools schema to create the based objects or my ER diagram, and pretty much where I will configure almost every based object, matching, staging, etc. Schema viewer will give me a view of my data model, and then we'll come back and touch on systems and trust when we want to set up source systems under trust, queries, packages to allow access to the hub tables information through the console, and then functions and mappings that will come through here. So this is just a guide of some of the major tools. So we're going to spend a lot of time under model, workbench, and then we're also going to spend time in this course under utilities. Why? Because under utility is where we will set a cleanse match server so that we can test our mappings as well as execute them. Batch group and batch viewer, we're going to use both, but we're going to primarily focus on batch viewer. If you were to ask me, how do I equate this to other things that we know? Well, this is how we execute. This is where we will run our jobs, our landing, our staging, our matching, etc. Various tasks that we have there. Okay, so with that in mind, those are the workbenches, and each workbench has a tool. And just to tell you where we're going, I'm going to go to the bottom, stay logged in as training, but switch over to something called the Instructor Lab Complete. So I'm switching over to another ORS. And remember from our lecture what an ORS is. It is where you define your ER diagram, all your match rules, all your staging, all your mapping. So it's the full configuration of your business goal. So I switched to something called Instructor Lab Complete, which is the instructor solution for our exercises. Now that I've selected that, what I'm going to do is go to Schema Viewer under the Workbench model, And here is a data model. Notice we have entities, relationships, and we have various entities, category, subcategory. Well, this is what you're going to be doing step by step during the labs. Here, I've shown you a complete data model. And now I'm going to go to the schema viewer. And this is just to show you how to navigate. Under schema tool, in the middle panel, this is where you were. Let me do a right mouse click. Notice this is where you would create your based object and landings. If you look at your based objects and you have all the entities, let me just click on customer, and you see you have staging tables. But notice one thing, I cannot right mouse click and edit. Very important. I have access to it, but unless I put it in a write lock, I will only have readability. So notice I am doing a right mouse click on based objects and nothing is happening. Don't forget, in the top menus, there's one called write lock. We need to acquire a lock so that we can modify, even though I have access and permission for it. Or I can acquire an exclusive lock. An acquire lock means that I can lock it, but somebody else having access to the ORS could also lock it. And whoever saves last overwrites the previous person that saved it. Exclusive lock means no one else can touch this until I'm done. And you may need also to clear the lock every now and then. So with that in mind, let me just acquire a lock. And you will see that I will now be able to edit the middle panel so that I can create based objects as well as landing tables. So let me just minimize this. Notice what I can create: based objects and landings. Right mouse click, I can add an item for a landing table. I'm going to cancel because I'm just showing you how to navigate the GUI. Under a based object, I can add an item, and notice the based object. If I expand the based object, and let's just say customer, notice that I could then also configure the match, add a staging table, and other items. But we're going to cover those step by step as we go throughout the demos and you do your labs in the course. So let me go back to the workbenches. Notice that under File, we have the ability to exit, Options, re-log in, change passwords, the target tables, other options. Schema is where we're going to spend a lot of time. Notice in the schema, we can refresh the schema in case we added objects. Write lock, I already discussed that, to acquire a lock or release it, and help. So now that I'm sort of done with this, let me just go ahead and, there's several things I can do. Release the lock, and if I had changed things, you would see that it would give me a message, do you want to save this? So now that I've done that, let me go back to the workbenches, and let me just summarize this. So we have configuration, the model, where we're going to spend a lot of time, schema, where it's my entry point of adding based objects, staging tables, etc. Once I finish that, I may go ahead and create mappings, which are our cleanse mappings, go from the landing object to the staging, but change the data. And also something important is the systems and trust to begin to identify what source systems are coming in. So throughout the class, you're going to be guided into when is the right time to create the various objects that we need. But let me just show you a mapping. Under Model Schema, notice, now hold on to your seat because this is fun, but some people also find it scary. Let me find an interesting one. I select a mapping. Remember, I don't have it locked, so therefore I will not be able to edit. So I select the stage billing address data from sales. On the right-hand side, I click the diagram, and I'm going to make this window just a little bit bigger so you can see it. And ta-da, you see on the right-hand side, a mapping. Some of you guys will recognize this. For those of you that know Power Center, you're going to feel that it looks like a Power Center mapping. For those of you that know the Informatica data quality products, you'll know that this looks like a data quality mapping. Some of the terminology and concepts are similar, but we do use different wording, and there's different ways to construct these mappings. What it means is that you're going to take data from the landing table, transform it, and then store it in a staging table. Now, this is only definition, configuration. Throughout the labs and course, we'll show you how to create these, but also how to execute them. Again, I cannot edit this since I do not have a write lock, but I just wanted to show you some of the workbenches. I hope this helps, And I'm minimizing the workbenches so you can see that. And every workbench has a tool. And hopefully this helps as we proceed throughout the labs. Thank you.